Close your eyes for just a moment and imagine this. A newborn baby, your own child perhaps, arrives into the world free of a genetic disease that tormented your ancestors for generations. Across the street, a young student studies not just with books, but with a mind genetically tuned for rapid learning, absorbing information at a pace that leaves teachers speechless. Down the block, a former soldier who lost an arm decades ago now crushes a grape gently between the fingers of a bionic hand that can feel texture and warmth, all powered by the impulses of his own brain. This isn't a distant sci-fi fantasy. It's the path we're already on, guided by gene-editing tools like CRISPR and revolutionary bionic implants. We're learning how to rewrite life's code and merge it with advanced machinery, raising the question, as we unlock seemingly limitless potential, can we ensure we do it without losing the very qualities that make us human? At the heart of this revolution lies CRISPR-Cas9, a gene-editing technology that allows scientists to find, cut, and replace DNA with surgical precision. Once, our genetic inheritance was a sealed envelope dictating traits and diseases without our input. Now we hold the scalpel. By adjusting a single gene, we can prevent conditions like sickle cell anemia or certain forms of blindness before a child ever takes their first breath. The science is stunningly simple in concept. A carefully designed guide RNA leads the Cas9 protein to a specific spot in the DNA where it snips out the flawed section and makes room for correction. What was once set in stone can now be rearranged, updated, or repaired. For families long haunted by hereditary diseases, CRISPR isn't just a medical tool, it's a promise of freedom. But every promise invites a question. If we can do this, what else will we dare to change? Consider the story of Victoria Gray. For much of her life, she battled sickle cell disease, an inherited condition that warps red blood cells, causing chronic pain and life-threatening complications. Traditional treatments offered limited relief, leaving her future clouded by uncertainty. Then, in a groundbreaking clinical trial, doctors used CRISPR to modify her cells. The result? Her body began producing healthy hemoglobin, freeing her from the debilitating grip of the disease. Victoria's story isn't a tale from some distant tomorrow. It's a reality unfolding right now. Her experience shows the power of directly editing the human genetic script, turning what once felt like destiny into a flexible draft. But as we celebrate her victory, we must ask, if curing disease is possible, will we eventually push beyond healing into the realm of enhancement? And if so, who decides what changes are worth making and what it means to be improved? Healing genetic disorders is noble, but CRISPR's capabilities extend beyond that. Scientists have identified genes tied to memory, intelligence, resilience, and even personality traits. Imagine a future where parents ensure their children aren't just free of illness, but gifted with heightened memory or sharpened problem-solving skills. It's a tempting vision. No more endless tutoring sessions, no more struggling through complex subjects, just natural brilliance engineered before birth. Yet this path is filled with moral dilemmas. If intelligence can be bought, how do we keep society fair? Will wealthier families invest in genetic upgrades, leaving others behind? Could we see a stark new divide, enhanced versus unenhanced, that makes today's inequalities seem modest by comparison? And what about the intangible aspects of being human, our creativity born from struggle, our empathy forged through shared hardship? If we smooth away every rough edge, might we lose the very sparks that ignite art, innovation, and compassion? While CRISPR focuses on rewriting our genetic code, another frontier is reshaping what our bodies can do. Bionic implants have moved far beyond simple prosthetics. Today, advanced artificial limbs connect directly to a user's nervous system, translating thought into movement with fluid grace. Some devices even restore a sense of touch, bridging the gap between flesh and metal until it feels like a part of you. Cochlear implants allow the deaf to hear the subtle hum of a city street. Bionic eyes offer limited vision to those who once saw nothing at all. Exoskeletons enable workers to lift heavy loads without straining their muscles. Brain-computer interfaces hint at a world where we might control vehicles, write text, or draw images simply by thinking them into existence. But this rise of cyborg-like enhancements raises a profound question. When our abilities depend on hardware and code, are we still fully human, or are we forging a new category of being altogether? Now consider pairing genetic enhancements with bionic aids. A sprinter whose muscles are edited for endurance might wear an exoskeleton that triples their power output. On the track, this athlete would obliterate world records, pushing human performance into territory once reserved for comic book heroes. But if excellence can be engineered, do records still matter? When training and dedication no longer define greatness, how do we celebrate achievement? Sports might split into categories: natural, enhanced, and fully augmented. Would the athletes we admire today, even legends like Usain Bolt or Serena Williams, seem quaint compared to the engineered champions of tomorrow? The question extends beyond sports to every aspect of human endeavor. If corporate leaders or innovators gain mental upgrades that speed their thinking, what happens to those who rely on raw talent, hard work, and luck? Does merit lose meaning when success can be pre-packaged and installed? Unequal access to these technologies could deepen rifts in our societies. Imagine a world where the wealthy literally pay to enhance their children's intelligence and health, guaranteeing them an immense head start. Meanwhile, those who can't afford genetic or bionic interventions remain subject to nature's dice roll, susceptible to disease, aging, and physical limitations. We've fought for generations to level playing fields through education, healthcare, and social reforms. Now we face the prospect of a biological gap that might render old inequalities trivial. If we fail to ensure fair access, we risk creating a new aristocracy defined not by birth names but by engineered genomes and integrated circuitry. Can we draft policies that make enhancements widely available so everyone can benefit from a healthier, more capable body and mind? Or will the laws of supply and demand push these breakthroughs into private luxury, leaving the rest of humanity behind? Human diversity is a treasure. Variation in genetics, culture, and thought has powered our adaptation to changing climates, pandemics, and countless challenges. It has sparked innovation by combining unexpected traits and perspectives. What happens if we standardize our genetic code, editing out the unexpected quirks that might seem unnecessary today but prove vital tomorrow? A genetically uniform society might be remarkably fragile. A single virus could exploit a universal vulnerability, sweeping through a population stripped of its natural genetic safeguards. By striving for perfection, we may undermine our resilience. And what about cultural richness and the value we place on differences? If everyone is engineered toward a narrow ideal, we risk losing the wild creativity that emerges from life's lottery. As we mold ourselves, we must remember that nature's imperfections often lead to surprising strength. Diversity isn't just a pleasant notion, it's our secret weapon against an uncertain future. We stand on the brink of transformations too vast for any single scientist, politician, or company to oversee. The ethical challenges posed by gene editing and bionics demand conversations that span continents, cultures, and generations. These are not niche technical debates. They're fundamental questions about what kind of people we want to be. Some argue for stringent regulations, strict bans, or moratoria until we fully grasp the consequences. Others fear that overregulation will stifle life-saving progress. Striking a balance is tricky, but we must try. Just as nuclear energy and artificial intelligence spurred global talks and treaties, so too must we shape the future of biotechnology. Instead of leaving decisions to a few experts, we need transparency and public education. Ordinary citizens deserve to understand these technologies and have a say. Our choices will echo across centuries, influencing the fate of generations unborn. Education is our compass. Before we embrace or reject enhancements, we must ensure everyone understands their possibilities and perils. Informed communities can demand fairness, hold leaders accountable, and shape policies that benefit all. We must share stories like Victoria Gray's that show the human face of these breakthroughs, reminding us that they are about improving lives, not just playing God. Empathy is our anchor. As we engineer stronger bodies and sharper minds, we must protect the compassion and cooperation that define us. Our future can't be driven solely by technological prowess. It must honor the values that bind us together. We stand at a crossroads. Ahead lies a world of dizzying potential, where disease and limitation yield to innovation. But we also risk severing ourselves from the core experiences that have guided humanity's moral compass for millennia. Will we proceed with humility and vision, or race forward blindly, risking all we cherish? In the end, CRISPR and bionics are not just new tools, they are mirrors reflecting our hopes, fears, and ambitions. They challenge us to envision what we hold sacred in human life. Health and capacity will improve, but what about justice, empathy, resilience, and the spark of individuality? The promise of these technologies is breathtaking. We can lift burdens that once seemed inescapable and open pathways to brilliance and vitality. If we handle these gifts with wisdom, we can craft a future where children are born free of cruel diseases, where disabilities give way to restored abilities, and where knowledge and experience flow more freely than ever. But the cost of missteps is equally immense. We risk a future that deepens divides, erodes diversity, and drains meaning from achievement. The choice is ours, made not just by scientists or CEOs, but by all of us. The time to shape our shared destiny is now. Thank you for watching. The future is in our hands. Let's shape it together. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more content. See you in the next one.